Welcome to ObsidiusFan Reviews. I wanted to have a joke on here, but I couldn't think of anything. Yeah, sorry about that. So, cue intro? Hello everybody! Your friend ObsidiusFan is here for the first episode of my brand new series, ObsidiusFan Reviews. In these videos I will review different games I like, and maybe games I don't like, in order to give you my full opinion on them. Please remember this is the first review I ever do, so it won't turn out as completely perfect, and any criticism that I can use to improve will be accepted. So now let's get right into business. As you could obviously tell by the title and the music and just about everything, the first game I've decided to analyze is Crash Twinsanity. This is a platformer from the legendary Crash Bandicoot franchise developed by Traveler's Tale and published by Vivendi Universal. This game had to deal with the fact of being a Crash game that was not developed by series creators Naughty Dog. That is kind of sad, because a big part of the fanbase will hate on every installment that was released after the original PS1 trilogy and spin-offs, without even giving them a chance. So, this is why I am here to answer the question. Despite being released in the post-Naughty Dog era of the Crash series, is Crash Twinsanity a fun and simple platformer faithful to the original PS1 trilogy? Well, let's dive into the real review to find out. Okay, yes, some people may be a little concerned with the fact that I am reviewing a game that is literally in my top 10 favorites. But trust me on this one, I will be as unbiased as possible. Twinsanity has its flaws, and I won't be scared to recognize them. So let's get right into it. Here is my review of Crash Twinsanity. Let's begin with the story. The plot of this game is way different than the rest of the series, and it takes place right after the events of Wrath of Cortex. Everything starts when the main villain of the franchise, an arch-nemesis of Crash, Dr. Neo Cortex, dresses up as Coco and lures the Bandicoot into a trap, where all the mutants he has created are waiting to take revenge on our hero. However, they fail, and Crash and Cortex end up finding themselves facing a couple of evil parrots from another dimension who claim they were going to take over their world. So, now Crash Bandicoot and his arch-nemesis have to work together to finally stop this evil parrot from another dimension. To be honest, this is really fresh and original for this franchise. You know, most of the times the plot of these games are about Cortex using a different gimmick to take over the world, and Crash has to stop him by finding power crystals. But the plot of Twinsanity is different and way more creative than the rest of the series. I know it may seem a little bit cliché at first, but trust me, it has some interesting plot twists and situations that make up for that. Almost every character from the franchise returns in this game by either having a main role or just a cameo. That is awesome. However, Twinsanity also introduces new characters like Neo's niece herself, Nina Cortex. Almost everyone is likable to watch and listen to, with some exceptions. And since we are on the topic, I must say that the writing in this game is very clever and hilarious. This is a platformer, so you shouldn't expect too much dialogue, but the few lines that our characters speak are really enjoyable. As gamers, I think we can all agree that the presentation does not make a good game. But we can also agree that better graphics and music can make it even more enjoyable. Case in point, the graphic style of Crash Twinsanity is a joy to look at. It follows the series' rule of a cartoony art style, and it fits perfectly. I mean, come on, how ugly would Crash look if he was realistic? With this excellent graphic style, each environment is atmospheric and immersive, combined with the fact that our characters have the best design in the entire series. They are not as bland as in the original trilogy, and not as vomitive as in Crash of the Titans, Oh god. If Activision ever makes a new game in this franchise, I seriously wish they used the Twinsanity models, or something similar to them. But it is true that Twinsanity has a big flaw in its presentation: the glitches. Oh god, this game is full of glitches everywhere. Some can really mess up with your game, and they may even corrupt your data. But I can't really take a lot of points because of this, since the only way of finding these glitches is by looking for them. If you continue with the main game without doing stuff you are not supposed to do, you won't have any problems with that, so it's not a big deal. However, the glitches are still there, and they show laziness and a lack of game testing. The voice acting, even if it's not really abundant, it's top notch. Every voice actor did an amazing job on each character, and all the voices fit perfectly. Major props to Lex Lang in the role of hilarious Cortex, and to my man Quinton Flynn, who did the voices of the evil twins.
Got it memorized?
Hehe, I made a Kingdom Hearts reference. However, I have to address what is possibly one of the best features in Twinsanity, the soundtrack. You can either love or hate this game, but you can't deny how incredibly unique this soundtrack is. Why? Well, it's simple. All the songs were made by the a cappella band Spiral Mouth. This means every piece of music was made entirely with human voices. Okay, yeah, they did get a little help from computer editing, but they used no instruments at all. Despite how weird this sounds, the soundtrack manages to be atmospheric, memorable, catchy, and it fits perfectly in the entire cartoon world this game has to offer. I don't have a hat, but I would sure buy one just to take it to Spider Mouth because of the amazing work they did in this game. Just like a good pizza needs a good crust to be exquisite, a good game needs good gameplay to... yeah, this analogy is so stupid. Let's just say the gameplay in a video game is the most important thing, and Crash Twinsanity knows this very well. There are 3 playable characters in this platformer: Crash, Cortex, and Nina. I will get to the Bandicoot later, let's focus on the other 2 right now. While sometimes they can feel a little bit clunky, their gameplay adds a lot of variety to the rest of the game, since you will have to use Nina's mechanical arms for some sweet platforming and the Doctor's laser gun to destroy everything. However, what is kind of sad is that you only play as them for 1 level each and the final boss battle. Having multiple playable characters has a lot of potential, but this game did not take advantage of that and made you play as Crash Bandicoot for most of the adventure. Which is not a bad thing, since the gameplay of Crash is definitely the best of the 3, but it would have been great to see more of Cortex and Nina's gameplay. But I digress. When it comes to playing as the Orange Bandicoot, the controls are just as perfect and classic as it can get. One button to jump, another one to crouch, another one to spin, and the last one to see how many lives and Wumpa fruits you have. The camera can be controlled with the right analog stick, and while it can get confusing at times, you will almost never have a problem with it. Also, this time Crash controls way more fluid than in the previous installments, especially if you compare it to the Wrath of Cortex. This fluid yet simple control scheme translates perfectly in his gameplay, which consists of simple platforming in clever 3D environments. I wish I could explain it in more detail, but most of the times it's the classic and fun Crash Bandicoot platforming we all know and love. However, he can add variety by getting help from Cortex, making the game even more entertaining. He can use the Doctor to solve some puzzles, use him as a snowboard, save him with his platforming like in Lemmings, and even more! I love how the humor of this game is reflected on its gameplay rather than on its dialogue. I mean, Cortex is a snowboard! How can you not love that? Of course, this entertaining way of playing can also be really useful when you face different bosses. Yeah, like almost every platformer, Twinsanity has its fair share of incredible boss battles. They have to be defeated in clever ways, but they are challenging at the same time. And I can truly say some of the best battles in the entire franchise can be found in this game. Trust me, I've already been there. And yes, I am not ashamed of advertising my channel in my own video. I know, I am a bastard. Also, there is something I always liked about this game that keeps it more fresh than the other installments in the Crash franchise. Instead of accessing the levels in a warp room, our Bandicoot will have to explore a huge and colorful overworld in order to continue through the adventure. Okay, this overworld is not as big as GTA, but it holds a good amount of secrets and collectibles, similar to the overworlds in the 3D Mario games. I think that getting rid of the warp rooms was a great idea, so the player feels way more free and the gameplay feels less linear, even if it is once you enter the actual levels. Oh, and I almost forgot, like I said before, the overworld has some collectibles. Why? Because there are a lot of hidden gems in both the overworld and the levels itself. Most of the times you will need a lot of skill to find them, but what do you get by finding all of them? Well, it's not another ending like in the old games, that is disappointing, but you will unlock a lot of extra content like concept art, videos and etc. of the game. This is really interesting and it makes you want to collect more and more gems, giving Twinsanity some fun replay value. Of course, you could easily look for them in YouTube, but what's the point of that, to be honest? When it comes to challenge, Crash Twinsanity is not devastating like most 3D platformers, but it can get really hard, especially in the latest levels, so it overall has a decent difficulty. However, once you beat the game and replay it, you won't have any problem with it anymore. This is a game that gets easier as you play it over and over, and it keeps you wishing for a difficulty setting. So, I've been talking about replay value, but why do I think that is important? Well, because here you have the biggest flaw of Crash Twinsanity. It's way too short. It's like when you're watching a good movie, you're having a lot of fun with it when suddenly the credits appear and you get depressed. It's really a shame because Twinsanity has a lot of potential for even more levels, and it just stops too quickly. You can easily beat it in a few hours. Yeah, the gems add some replay value, but you still end very disappointed with how short it is. At the end, I think we can all agree that Crash Twinsanity is a classic platforming experience worthy of the Crash Bandicoot name. Yeah, it has some flaws, but it's nothing game-breaking, and the positives are way more than the negatives. Let's take a look, shall we? Overall, Crash Twinsanity is a game worth checking out. If you're a Crash Bandicoot fan or not, you will sure enjoy this game with its simplicity and variety. Of course, it's flawed, but there is nothing that will take you away from the experience. Most of the times. It may be extremely short, but every second is full of creative ideas, unique presentation and original gameplay. At the end of the day, Crash Twinsanity gets my score of an 8 out of 10, and if I had to use one word to describe it, that would be entertaining. Everything about it will just make you have a lot of fun, so I say you should get one of the best 3D platformers for your PlayStation 2 or the original Xbox. Trust me, you are not going to regret it. Oh, and before I go, I want to give my thanks to the user KirillaWave. How do you even pronounce that name? Whatever. He made the ObsidiusFan Reviews banner, my channel banner and my channel icon for free. Not only he's a great guy, but he also makes some really good countdowns, so I say you should go and check his channel right there in the description. Well, now that I already said all of that, I hope you all enjoyed my first review. Please tell me what you guys think, and I will see you next time.